Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there is a ton of news stories to get in today, especially considering it's an episode of Impact Wrestling tonight on AXS TV. So let's get into today's Impact Wrestling news. And as you can see, we're going to get live fans back on Impact Wrestling on AXS TV too. Of course, Slammiversary marks the return of live fans to Impact Wrestling for the first time since the pandemic first began in March of 2020. So that's very exciting anyway, but we're going to get fans back at Impact Wrestling television tapings too, because it was announced yesterday that fans will be returning for the post-Slammiversary television tapings. This is very exciting. Impact Wrestling has announced that they will hold 2 TV tapings following Slammiversary and that fans will be allowed in the crowd for the events. The Impact TV tapings are scheduled for Sunday, July 18, which of course is the day after Slammiversary, and Monday, July 19 from Skyway Studios in Nashville, Tennessee. The Slammiversary pay-per-view is scheduled for that Saturday, July 17. Now, there will be 2 sessions of tapings for each day. The content filmed will air as future episodes of Impact Wrestling on AXS TV, with the Slammiversary Fallout Plus Before the Impact and an upcoming Impact Plus special event to be named. Now, a limited number of tickets will go on sale Thursday, July 1st, today, via a link that Impact Wrestling are giving out. Tickets will range from $10 to $25, so certainly not the expense that Slammiversary was. So if you want to go, tickets are out there to purchase. If you're in Nashville or you're in Tennessee, I'd recommend going. It should be a lot of fun. So the first session is Sunday, July 18 from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Central Time. Session 2 is Sunday, July 18 from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. Central Time. Session 3 is Monday, July 19, 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Central Time. And Session 4 is Monday, July 19, 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. Central Time. Now, Impact Wrestling has released a press release talking about this as well, so we'll touch on this as well. They've just previously said the same thing, excuse me, that a limited number of tickets will go on sale on Thursday, July 1st for Impact Wrestling shows that will air on AXS TV immediately after the Slammiversary pay-per-view, which is scheduled for Saturday, July 17 in Nashville, Tennessee. Obviously, big news, very exciting news. Now, myself, as someone that does this channel, we talk a lot about Impact Wrestling here on the channel. We do a lot of Impact Wrestling news. For myself, personally, if you can indulge me for a second, the whole time I've been talking about Impact on this channel, it goes back to around this time last year, just before Slammiversary last year, is when we started to really double down on the Impact Wrestling content. And of course, that means that I've never covered this channel whilst the crowd's been in attendance for an Impact Wrestling event. So that's why Slammiversary in general is just very exciting anyway. But also, I now have the dilemma of what to do for when we have these TV tapings, because again, we know how Impact Wrestling tapes content. They tape content in these batches, and they're going to pretty much do the same thing. They're doing what they were doing anyway during the pandemic, but they're just going to have fans there this time. This is what they used to do anyway. They used to have TV tapings. Impact Wrestling very rarely aired live on AXS TV. I mean, occasionally, of course it would, and if the moment strikes Impact Wrestling, I'm sure they will again, but apart from that, they would do these TV tapings, and then fans would be in attendance, and then you would see the spoilers come online. And that's what I'm kind of hesitant about as someone that covers a lot of Impact Wrestling news on the channel. So you're going to have to let me know yourself, as viewers of these Impact Wrestling news videos, what you really want out of me as a news person on this channel, because obviously, as I mentioned, coming out of Slammiversary, the fans are going to be at these TV tapings, and being at these TV tapings, the spoilers are going to come out, and they're going to say, so-and-so beat so-and-so, they shot this big angle, this title change, Impact Plus, this happened. That's going to come out online. The only way that it wouldn't would be that those in attendance have to sign like a confidentiality agreement. And again, I don't know how that's necessarily going to work. Because from my point of view as well, before we'll touch on stuff for the channel, but if they're going to be there for, say, an Impact Plus taping, wherever it is, whether it's Lockdown, whether it's think of anyone, Victory Road, any Destination X, any old school Impact Wrestling or TNA pay-per-view that you can think of, if they're going to be there for that Impact Plus event, if the spoilers are online for that event, and plus it's an event that's an Impact Plus event, it's hardly an event that people are going to go out their way to watch. I mean, me and you as Impact Wrestling fans will watch the Impact Plus events because they're a lot of fun to watch. But when the spoilers are out there, people might say, wow, it's an Impact Plus event, it's not that big a deal anyway. The spoilers are there. I know what's going to happen. There's no point watching it. Is that going to affect Impact Plus numbers too? I mean, there's lots of different things to consider here, I suppose, for Impact Wrestling going forward with the return of fans. And obviously, at the end of the day, it's a good thing. Having fans back inside the arena is always going to be a good thing for Impact Wrestling. The atmosphere that they give is unparalleled. We've seen that when fans have returned to AEW events, even for WWE, for WrestleMania, etc., but especially for AEW, for those shows they've done from Daily's Place recently that have had fans in attendance. It's night and day. It's night and day with the quality and the atmosphere and the electricity that they provide. So them being there for Slammiversary and them being there for these post-Slammiversary television tapings is a big deal, and it's very exciting for Impact Wrestling. But I mean, I'll leave this one to you. What do you want me to do in terms of, again, someone that covers a lot of Impact Wrestling news on the channel? Do you want to know spoilers, or do you not want to know spoilers? Or is it a case of you're happy for us to do spoilers on the channel, but give me a bit of warning ahead of time? You know, if it's a big switch or whatever, don't put it in the thumbnail, or say before you start, big spoiler warning, and do all that kind of stuff. I think that's probably the avenue that I'll go down, to be honest, because that's kind of the avenue that most pro wrestling websites go down. And not that I want to copy them, not that I think I am a pro wrestling, not that I'm, you know, a pro wrestling journalist or anything like that by any stretch of the imagination. Again, it's really what you guys want. So you can let me know in the comment section below. I mean, it's more of like a news philosophy, I guess. Again, I think the avenue that I'm going to go down is, you know, if something big happens, something noteworthy happens, we'll probably talk about it ahead of time, because it will be out there. And I think a lot of people, as fans of Impact Wrestling, will probably see it anyway, and you'll probably want to discuss it, and you'll probably want to share your opinions on it. And that's what we really do here on the channel. We share people's opinions, and we get people talking. It's an open discussion. It's a forum, etc. So I probably will discuss those spoilers, but, you know, we won't spoil anything in terms of thumbnails. We'll do what we do before, where we do a blackout, and also before we start the video, we'll say, you know, by the way, spoiler warning, we are going to talk about this. We'll give you a 5 or 10 second warning and then move on into it. I think that's probably the direction to go in. But look, that's the logistics of it, I suppose, if you will. But the exciting thing, of course, is that fans are returning, and the program's going to be, I think, a much better watch. Not that it's been bad. I think that, again, the ratings recently haven't been great. There's a lot going on in the world, I suppose. There's a lot of competition. Impact Wrestling did suffer from being head-to-head with Vice's Dark Side of the Ring and then Vice's China documentary. The China documentary that aired on Vice actually got more viewers than Impact Wrestling, which I know a lot of people inside Impact Wrestling, a lot of Impact Wrestling fans were slightly concerned about, going, wait a minute, this is brand new pro wrestling, and a documentary on China did a better number. That's surprising, and that should be alarming, especially on the road to Slammiversary, which is Impact Wrestling's biggest event of the year. So the timing is great. Again, it might open some logistical issues in terms of spoilers, etc. But that's the world we live in with social media, with the internet, and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, if you're in Nashville, or you're in Tennessee, or you're in one of the local states nearby, and you like a bit of Impact Wrestling, now's the time. Absolutely, now's the time. If you're fully vaccinated, now's the time to go and watch Impact Wrestling live, because who knows who could show up? I mean, this is a new Impact. If you attended some of the Impact TV tapings or Impact events in the past, you knew what you were getting. Now, we're in a completely different world. We're in a completely different world. There could be AEW stars, New Japan stars, AAA stars. There's plenty of stars that could be showing up at these Impact Wrestling television events. So that's very exciting. And I'm excited to see, obviously, what Slammiversary brings us. And again, if you purchase these tickets now, you're probably going to be seeing some former WWE superstars at these Impact Wrestling television tapings as well, because you're getting all of the Slammiversary fallout, and we know that surprises are planned. So you're going to be seeing all of this fallout for $10, $25. What a bargain. What a bargain that is. So very exciting for the fans to return to Impact Wrestling television. Eddie Edwards is facing Kojima tonight on Impact Wrestling, and some people have questioned why. Why did Eddie Edwards challenge Kojima? It doesn't make any sense. Why would he do that? But he's explained his reasoning. Now, as I mentioned, Impact Wrestling star Eddie Edwards has heaped praise on New Japan Pro Wrestling legend Satoshi Kojima, stating he's one of the greatest. Now, last week, Kingston and Kojima unsuccessfully challenged Violent by Design's Joe Doring and Dina for the Impact World Tag Team Championships. Following the defeat, Edwards requested Kojima for a singles match before the New Japan Pro Wrestling legend returns to Japan. Now, a fan recently asked Eddie Edwards as to why he wanted the match against the New Japan Pro Wrestling legend. Impact Wrestling star Eddie Edwards quickly responded to the fan's tweet, stating Kojima is one of the best to step foot in the business. He further added he wants to test his skills against a guy of his stature. He said, quote, "Because he's one of the greatest ever, and I want to test myself against someone of his caliber. He's also someone I truly respect and admire. That would be why." It was also put together during our post-tag team title match conversation, which happened to be caught on camera, #Impact on AXS TV. So he's very much keeping in storyline there. Now, W. Morrissey could attack Eddie Edwards this week, though, because last week W. Morrissey interrupted a backstage segment between Eddie Edwards and Kojima. The former WWE superstar mocked the babyface team, calling them a bunch of frauds. Based on his claims, it could be possible he could attack both men after their match tonight on Impact Wrestling. This would kickstart a feud between W. Morrissey and Eddie Edwards, possibly leading towards Slammiversary, which takes place on July 17. The thing I would say about that, and maybe that is what happened, because again, this was taped a long time ago. This was taped like May, the end of May, something like that, ridiculous. So this was taped a while ago. So maybe Impact did have plans for Eddie Edwards to face maybe W. Morrissey, say at Slammiversary. The issue is, of course, that at the beginning of June, Eddie Edwards had to undergo surgery for appendicitis, and we don't know, as of right now, we don't know the situation as to Eddie Edwards' health. We don't know if Eddie Edwards is going to be cleared to compete at Slammiversary or whatever. When he had the surgery, again, this was sort of beginning of June, the rough approximation was that he was going to be out for roughly 6 weeks. That lands him dead on Slammiversary. So I'm sure he's doing everything in his power, everything possible to try and get back for Slammiversary, because he's an Impact guy. He's a company guy. He said that he wants to be in Impact Wrestling for life. I believe him. I don't think he has any interest in going anywhere else. Maybe working in Japan or something like that, but I don't think he has any interest in going back to Ring of Honor. I think his time's passed in WWE, and he knows that. I don't think AEW would be a good fit. He's an Impact Wrestling guy, and Eddie Edwards knows that, and Impact Wrestling knows that. But W. Morrissey is on obviously a massive role at the moment. Physically, he's in tremendous shape. Impact Wrestling's booking of him has been very, very strong. I mean, they've put him over against Willie Mack, against Rich Swann, former world champion. And I would suggest if W. Morrissey faces Eddie Edwards at Slammiversary, I would probably think W. Morrissey wins that one as well. And that would mean he's defeated 2 former world champions. The interesting thing then would be is, who does W. Morrissey face after that? Because once you beat 2 former world champions, surely you've got to be in the conversation, right, to say, well, why am I not going to be facing the world champion? Now, as of right now, the Impact World Champion's Kenny Omega. I can't see Impact Wrestling booking a Kenny Omega versus W. Morrissey match. That's 2 heels, and that just logically doesn't make a ton of sense. I guess from a storyline perspective, you could have a Don Callis just be terrified of a W. Morrissey, because what a threat that would be. Could I see W. Morrissey going up against Sami Callihan for the Impact World Championship? That certainly would make sense, and maybe that's why W. Morrissey's being built up. He's being built up as Sami Callihan's first Impact World Championship defense after he defeated Kenny Omega at Slammiversary. I don't know if I truly buy into that, because again, I just don't know if I can truly see Sami Callihan beating Kenny Omega at Slammiversary. That just doesn't feel like the best use of that spot. And I know I've said this over and over again, and I know some people will disagree and some people will agree, but I'm not sure. I do think, though, again, if you're reading between the lines, it does look like there obviously is some kind of plans for Morrissey and Edwards heading into Slammiversary. The issue now obviously will be just, is Eddie Edwards going to be physically able to compete at Slammiversary? Time will only tell when it comes to that. We haven't heard much of an update about that since he had the appendicitis, since he had the surgery at the beginning of the month, since he tweeted out saying, yep, thank you for the well wishes, all that kind of stuff. I get the impression, given Eddie Edwards, given this is a guy, he doesn't have any teeth anymore, he's had his teeth knocked out, he's like, I don't know, he's like an Impact Wrestling Mick Foley at this point, of a guy that's not in the best shape, but just gets the hell beat out of him, keeps getting back up. He's the, what they call him, the heart and soul of Impact Wrestling, all that kind of stuff. I get the impression if there's even a 50% chance he can wrestle at Slammiversary, considering how big the event's going to be, considering the former WWE stars returning, considering the eyeballs on the product, considering fans in attendance, all that kind of stuff. If Eddie Edwards can, he will. So I wouldn't be surprised if we get Eddie Edwards versus W. Morrissey happening at Slammiversary in July. So I would probably bet quite a good amount of money that probably is going to happen. There was an interesting interview recently with Havoc and Sportskeeda, and she shared quite some interesting tidbits about her time in Impact Wrestling. Of course, she's had a couple of stints in the promotion, and she recently gave her perspective on how she felt on arriving in a major promotion like Impact Wrestling for the first time. Now, Havoc, of course, is a 17-year veteran of professional wrestling. She quickly rose through the ranks, spending the majority of her wrestling career in the Indies before becoming a prominent part of the Knockouts division today. Now, Impact Wrestling star Havoc was recently interviewed by Sportskeeda's Ryan Bowman, where she discussed numerous topics, but most notably her experience joining a national television show for the first time. She says, quote, "So when I first got into Impact, I was pretty well established wrestler on the independent scene. I worked for many different companies in many different countries at that point. I was just like, okay, I just kind of went into it and I was really excited. I was very, very nervous. And when I got there, I felt like it was somewhat different being at a TV company than on the indies. There are many things that are different. I went from being an established person on the independent to coming into a TV company with all these amazing people and feeling like, do I know what I'm doing? It was definitely a challenge. I would be lying if I said that I didn't lose confidence when I got there, because I definitely started to question why you deserve to be there to begin with." Now, for a woman like Havoc, who spent half of her wrestling career on the indies, that was pretty understandable that it was hard for her to adapt to an environment of a major company like Impact Wrestling. But she also discussed her bond with Rosemary. Of course, she's been tag teaming with Rosemary recently. It's rumored that they're going to be facing Fire and Flavor at Slammiversary for the Knockouts Tag Team Championship. This is what she had to say about her tag team with Rosemary, quote, "So Rosemary and I have had lots and lots of work. We fought each other like over the past year or so, ever since I moved back to Impact Wrestling. Even before that, she's someone who I know very well and vice versa. I think that she and I have come to an understanding and there's potential there." So I don't know, again, how I totally feel about the Rosemary Havoc tag team. Again, they fought each other over the years and they've been involved in storylines and feuds in Impact Wrestling. The whole Impact Knockouts tag team division, and actually we're going to touch on the Knockouts tag team that I do think is going to head to Impact Wrestling soon. The Knockouts tag team picture right now just feel like they're waiting for, say, the IIconics to come back in. Whether or not they do, time will only tell. But Havoc, I think Havoc's someone you need in the Knockouts division. You need people that are different, and Havoc's definitely different. I think she plays the role of the larger female, the more powerful, dominating female. Wow. I think if you look at, a WWE comparison would be to her, say, Nia Jax, and I think Havoc arguably plays that role better. I think she's probably safer in the ring too. So I'm a fan of Havoc. I wasn't a massive fan of her first stint in Impact, but I definitely, recently, she had a match against Deonna Purrazzo at Under Siege a couple of months ago that I thought was very good. So I'm a Havoc fan, to be honest with you. Finally, we have an update when it comes to the IIconics and Impact Wrestling, and it might mean that the IIconics aren't coming to Impact Wrestling anytime soon. Now, even though they launched their podcast Off Her Chops last month, both Peyton Royce and Billy Kay are still stuck in a very difficult and legally binding rut when it comes to how they're going to get their green card status over in the United States. They said since they have some time left on their 90-day non-compete clause is fully satisfied, they say it's a challenge to have to pump the brakes and generate new revenue. They said, quote, "The difficult thing for us is we still don't have our green card, so we're not allowed to work until we get those or until we find sponsorship anywhere else. We're so excited. We have all of this freedom and so many ideas, but pump the brakes because we can't do any of it. The podcast, we're not making any money off it. It's purely to get our name out there and stay relevant. It's been tough just knowing we have all of these things we want to do but can't. We're in this holding pattern right now. There's literally nothing we can do. We're just waiting. We've been in this process for 4 years, which is basically unheard of. Factors came into it that nobody controlled, like the pandemic. This was followed up with, people are like, what are they going to do now? Well, nothing, because I can't legally work in the country, and people think that you apply for the green card and it comes in the mail. This stuff takes years, and we've been through the ringer with this, getting stuff denied, switching the process because of the pandemic. It keeps backing up year after year. We're almost there, but it could be, but there still could be a year away. We just don't know. People are like, it'll work itself out. Surely your former employer will help. No, we're in this together, just doing it by ourselves. It's been stressful, and now an added stress after getting released. We're like, do we have to leave the country? We had no idea how it works. Thankfully, we can stay here, but that added stress is a lot. We hope it's going to work itself out in the next 6 to 12 months. Now, I do think when they say, oh, they can't work, I would assume if they're working for Impact in the same vein that they were working for WWE, then they should be fine. Again, I don't know how the green card system works. You will know better than me if you're from the United States or from America. So I don't know if this is going to impact them possibly coming to Impact Wrestling. I don't know if once they sign a contract with Impact, that basically means that they can work. I don't know. I'm sure Impact Wrestling would go through that process, right? We know that Impact Wrestling is going through a similar situation with Killer Kelly right now, with the same thing of she's from Portugal and they're trying to figure all that kind of situation out with the work visas and the green cards, etc. So time will tell. I hope not. I hope that they don't get stuck because of a green card situation. Logic would suggest, like they said, if they don't have a green card, they've never had one, but they were able to work with WWE, again, because WWE sorted it out. So I would assume that Impact could sort that out, but maybe that's a process that might prevent them from appearing at Slammiversary because it takes time. Time will only tell, though, if we see them at Slammiversary or not. But look, guys, as always, this is just one man's opinion. What are your thoughts on all these Impact Wrestling news stories we've spoken about today? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I'll do my best to respond and reply to all of your comments. Really enjoy interacting with you guys, talking about Impact Wrestling, WWE, AEW, New Japan Pro Wrestling, all things pro wrestling here on the channel. So be sure to get involved with the community. Drop a comment below. All opinions are welcome. If you have enjoyed this video, please do smash a like on the like button too. Really does help us out here on YouTube. Got the rankings and get into people's recommendation feeds if they haven't seen our videos previously. But most importantly, if you haven't already, please do subscribe to Wrestling News 365. You can do that by clicking the bottom right hand corner of the screen right now. Or if you wait a few seconds, there'll be a subscribe button at the end of this video along with another video for you to watch. Thank you very much for watching, listening, streaming, or have you come across this video today. And I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.